think we're live.
Early Shabbat Shalom. Look at all this
Man,
stuff.
look at this stuff.
Yard sale or the Shabbos show?
I know. Maybe Eli can help sell some of this stuff on eBay.
Who knows? We have what we think is a pretty fun segment for you today. And we always like to wait a moment because from the time we come on until the time you connect is always just a moment. And even though it'll be on YouTube for later, we really like to have the participation of everyone and enjoy this together, this segue that we have prior to Shabbat. Hi, Lolly. Happy to see you. You know, I wait for Mindy to come on also.
I know. Mindy's going to show up at some
There's a
point,
few
hopefully.
people that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's Friday. Here we go. Here we go.
Mindy?
Well, let me see. I'm going to stand back and see if our device, if our camera kind of adjusts for things. And it might. Walk over here, see if it adjusts to some stuff over here. There it goes.
There I am.
All kinds of different things are over here. We're hoping you're looking a little bit at some of the items we have today. Come over here now.
For dancing.
Because there's a lot of stuff here we brought to show you all. See if we go a little more.
Look.
And you're in the kitchen sink. Shabbat Shalom, Lolly. So today, I want to read something that will set the theme. And it's not too long. Let me get my glasses on. I have to move. And you're going to see, there's just so much stuff. Okay, here we go. Reading to you out of a wonderful book. So many of you are familiar with Anita Diamond, the author of The Red Tent. She also has many other books and many other very interesting things that she's authored. This one is called Living a Jewish Life. And again, it's by Anita Diamond. I know it'll be a little backwards, but look, the Shabbos sign, the Shabbos show sign is just right. Now, how is that the case? I don't know.
Am I that smart? No. I asked someone to help me with it.
Okay, to Anita. According to a Yiddish proverb, the best synagogue is the heart. Many people have attributed Judaism's survival to its focus on the family. But there is a necessary counterpoint to Judaism's emphasis on the heart and home. Do not separate yourself from community, says the Talmud. In other words, Judaism's vitality does not reside solely within individuals, but also depends upon the energy and the momentum generated by groups of people working together in all kinds of settings. Synagogues, schools, charitable agencies, cultural activities, social clubs, political groups. In a sense, the organized Jewish community exists to support individual Jews in their decision to live as Jews. Because the truth is, no one Jew can by him or herself continue this way, right? Lighting candles every Friday night, reading sophisticated Jewish books, celebrating the holidays at home with friends and family, and never eating shrimp again may all be deeply meaningful. But there is a limit to a totally insular, personal Judaism. A Yiddish proverb says, life is with people. Jewish life can only be fully experienced in the company of other Jews, especially in the absence of extended family, which is the norm for many Americans. The Jewish community creates a larger context for all aspects of life, an indispensable source of identity, growth, recognition, and support, especially during times of transition. Births are greeted with resounding congratulations. Illness and deaths are surrounded by healing concern. As long as there have been Jews, there have been Jewish communal groups. At first, these were called tribes, and membership was all-inclusive, automatic, and permanent. Today, membership is largely voluntary. Becoming a part of the community requires filling out application forms and writing checks. In other words, making choices and connections with other Jews. Joining a synagogue, attending a lecture or a class, volunteering to serve on a committee or a board of directors, organizing a discussion group, even joining a virtual community for study and connection. Any and all of these are opportunities to establish and maintain Jewish roots. Power-packed paragraph coming up. Of course, all human contact entails friction, and Jews are notoriously a contentious bunch. Fortunately, the American Jewish community is large and diverse with countless places and ways to fit in. And in the great Jewish tradition of dissent, if you do not like the institutions that you find, you can always start your own. The doors to the Jewish community are wide open. Browsers are always welcome. I absolutely positively love this part. Browsers are always welcome. And that's really what Barry and I are doing here. We just missed our friends and we missed our family because that's everything. I mean, that is everything that Shabbat was to us. You know, we planned and did things and put our challah in the car, and every Jewish person and every Jewish family doesn't do this the same, but we put our challah in the car and we went to services, and then afterwards we took our challah in the restaurant and we had a wonderful Shabbos and came home and really refreshed on Saturday, and all kinds of those things that give you the reboot that Shabbat provides, and the magic and the time for stillness and introspection. And then pandemic hit. And so everything that Anita Diamond wrote about was prior to her seeing pandemic. And here we are. So here's what's really interesting at this time. There are possibly more things you can do with the Jewish community being wide open and browsers are always welcome. You can join Temple Emmanuel if you grew up at Temple Emmanuel and you've since moved to San Diego.
Wait. You're saying that you could join Temple Emmanuel, that's in Dallas, right? Just down the street, 7500 Hillcrest, and you can live in Oregon and say, hey, I want to be invited. I want to be part of Temple Emmanuel. You could do that.
Right, because you'd want a great Pinot Noir, and at the same time, you want to belong to Temple.
That's right. I forgot. Oregon is a home of a great Pinot Noir, and that's important.
But you know, hi Mike, hi Stephanie, hi Gail. But you know, there's so much to do during this time. And when Barry and I woke up this morning, the New York Times said, and I posted this, boy, is it going to be a long winter. And I think that that's true, but there's no shortage of things for Jewish people and Protestant people and all kinds of people to do. But today I want to talk to you, and Barry wants to talk to you about some things that you can learn and do, and hobbies and make. And all of a sudden this winter, we don't want to wish time away, right? But it's going to go quickly because there's going to be a lot of joy. And as you know, when you're living in joy, it just flies by. So we wanted to share with you some things in our home and give you some ideas. You might want a pencil and paper, or maybe you have a better memory than us. But we're going to go quick and just show a bunch of stuff that we've got here, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we could be as religious as learning for the very first time how to chant a Torah portion. It wasn't easy the first time.
Now, do you have to go in for 4 classes a week at the temple right now, or
in the
share
old
it,
days,
or wherever you're going?
I used to meet with Shirley, may her, and I miss her very much. Shirley Fisher. But today you may work with Roz or someone else, and you can go online and you can figure out how to do this. That's one way.
Okay, hold on. Gail said, what book is that by Anita Diamond? Okay, Gail, it's Living a Jewish Life. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, Cheryl. Hi, Janet. Okay, yeah, so you could begin to work on a Torah portion.
Yeah, and you can make it more fun, and you can learn about Hebrew flashcards. For example,
they're my favorite.
They're the best.
This is my favorite. And this stuff is all like, should I say Amazon? Is that okay?
You can say Amazon. You can say Lila. Maybe you can start tonight. It means night.
Or the English is on the back, right?
Oh, yeah. This is fantastic. Look, it says, you may well read it forward because it's backwards. That's always the joke, right?
Yeah.
And so here it is. It explains what it is. It means night in different ways.
But you can't necessarily start right here with your biblical flashcards, which I want to show you. And you know you can't start with them because you won't know how to do the sounds. But I do want to show you this. They're our absolute favorite if you don't have any. And when you start to read the prayer book and do services and stuff like that, now all of a sudden there's all these connections. So they look like this. They're biblical flashcards. We're only about halfway through them. This is another set, and these are prayer book flashcards. I don't find them quite as satisfying. Who knows why? But hold on, I'll show you what you have to start with. And I really did start all by myself, and it's a good time in the winter to kind of do this and then check in virtually. I have Hebrew every Wednesday with Roz, but we do this online. We have our Zoom Hebrew. So start here. Get yourself a nice kids setup with the alphabet. And I didn't put any pressure on myself. I just said I actually wanted to really enjoy it, you know? Mm-hmm.
And I thought I knew this fairly well, but as it turns out, it helped give me a refresher course. I was never taught what the words, the letters, names were. I just said, read this. And that's what, when I grew up, the cantor Sanders used to say, you read this, and that's all there is to it. Right? Mm-hmm. What's this book over here? Is that helpful?
Well, this is more stuff that I wanted to show you. And now I am a person who really cares about embodiment. I want to color things. I want to journal. I want to smell things. I want to eat. So when I started to learn Hebrew, I ordered a bunch of books for myself just to give myself a little bit of a base. And this one is Time to Read Hebrew Volume 1. So before we go to sleep, Barry and I are always, hanging out in bed doing something like flashcards or whatever. But I love this. This was like lesson 3 keywords. And then you can see it was like, fill in the pictures and do some coloring. And so we've got our coloring. And so just things that are felt easy. That was kind of the grounding I wanted before I jumped off rather.
Can I tell people, if anyone needs help with drawing, you can always ask me. I'm pretty good at this drawing. I mean, it's not bad. Stick figures.
It's not bad. Stick figures. Stick figures.
Okay. What else?
Well, like I was saying, because I'm an embodiment person, I don't always want to enhance my Judaism by reading. I want to touch things. I want to smell things. I want to do things. And I'm a crystal person. So I don't know. Maybe I'll start with the really good stuff. But I'm a crystal person. I have a lot of crystals. So this is sacred text of Isaiah chapter 54, verses 11 through 17. And there are so many stones mentioned in the Torah, in the Tanakh, in the Bible. And so I've been collecting some of them and making things from them. And I'll make anything.
So you're saying this?
Garnets.
These are just different stones. See the
emeralds,
different colors?
Mm-hmm.
All sorts of neat stuff. Mm-hmm. I call them by color.
And my crystals are organized in trays, and my crystals are organized in plastic boxes. But I wanted you to see, if you're someone who wants to make art and that's how you want to express your love for Judaism, this is wonderful, because this is Aaron's breastplate. Hi, Dinky. And there are sapphires and lapis lazuli in that breastplate. I don't want it to kind of fall over, but can you see all the different stones I have? Hopefully it won't fall.
What's a Aaron's breastplate?
Oh, it's just beautiful. I'll tell you what some of the stories are. Stones: carnelian, garnet, jacinth, topaz, onyx, agate, sapphire. There's all kinds of things that will encourage you to read it, find it, and then make this beautiful square. And I know you've seen it. It's the rows of the stones. I love to grid because I'm a crystal person. And one of the grids that I really like is to use onyx. And this is a nice onyx circle. And you can arrange them just any way that your heart desires, any stones. And for me, it's a wonderful feeling of just energy, and it makes sense and order. And where did the word order come from?
Passover?
The Torah, right? We were not the first. We humans did not invent this gridding, did we? It came from a Passover Seder, a Passover plate. Okay, so before pandemic, let's see, I was going to do this with what?
Passover Seder, the word Seder means order.
Thank you for doing that.
Go ahead.
That's really important. Sometimes I just go, ooh. Okay, so you remember I was gonna work with Anshe Torah on this,
I
and it was gonna
forgot.
be so cool with the women. So we were gonna do this really cool Passover gridding because I found this natural stone. These are agates, and do they or do they not look like matzah? And so we were gonna take this bigger square and we were gonna grid the Passover Seder plate. I even found these vintage bone beads. How cool are they?
It looks like pieces of banana.
Yeah. And so we were going to make a Passover plate because it may be that you're not really reached by reading something big or learning the Torah portion. You may want something else. So I used to be a big needle pointer. So I used to love to just stitch, and I couldn't read a Hebrew letter one, but I knew that I just felt I wanted to be immersed in my Judaism over.
Wait, is this
Oh, yeah.
needlepoint? You made this.
I have a lot of them.
Unbelievable.
Little dreidels.
4 little letters. We'll learn more about this next week.
Stephanie's on here. She remembers those.
And maybe a great miracle
Rachel
happened
remembers
here.
those.
Or maybe a great miracle happened there. If we were in Israel, we'd say it differently, of course. It's a little dreidel.
Yep. I collect Limoges boxes. Also not my idea. That was my mother's idea. And she began to buy them for me and start my collection. And I have some really nice Jewish Limoges boxes. So when I used to travel, the last trip we took before pandemic was actually New York. And we got this gorgeous Limoges box, and it is the Ten Commandments and Moses. So there's so many ways that you can express yourself and things that you can find. This is super fun. I bought it for whenever the grandkids are around.
Alf?
It's more, well, it's hard to open, but
oh, look, this is
it's
fun.
more of the flashcards. And there's the vowels.
Looks like a giraffe.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of things like that. Hold on, I want to make sure I didn't. If you're a journal person, and I'm a journal person, and this is gorgeous. If you and whether you're a Reformed Jew or not, this is the Mishkan Tefillah, the journal edition, a Reform Siddur, and you can get this one from the CCAR. So I give you an example of this. It is so wonderful. And this says, right, and so this is the prayer book that you could use, but it has places to write. And I don't know if this tugs at you, but so often I'm in services, and I definitely absorb it, but I'm most comfortable with a pen in my hand, and this gives you that opportunity. Maybe not during Shabbat, maybe even on a Wednesday, if you're careful not to write during Shabbat. Feel yourself wrapped in a talit. Pull it closed around your head. Prepare yourself for prayer in your private space. Feel those around you doing the same. How does the presence of others enhance your personal prayer? So they give you lots of starts for you to expand upon and write in this book. Mine's marked, and it's a delicious thing to do. If you don't just want to read and be immersed, many people call Jewish people of the book, and to a large extent that's true. But you can't forget that we came from burning incense. We came from anointing heads in oil. We came from making things out of our gold earrings, even when we shouldn't have. We also were an earth-based peoples with all kinds of practices, and I very much honor that today. One more thing, I'm looking over here. I bought myself kind of an inexpensive yad made in Israel, and it's wood, and it just makes me happy because when you first learn Hebrew, you know how they'll teach you to draw the pencil lines in between the syllables because it's a lot, and you feel like you're reading kind of like this.
If you've never seen a yad, you can see it. And look at the very bottom of the yod. See this little guy? It's a hand. So I just taught you Hebrew. Everyone knows Hebrew now. The yod means hand. Now, the reason you use a hand is because you're not allowed to touch the Torah scroll with your own fingers. So you have to use, it's too holy, and you don't want to mess it up either. So you use a yod and follow this as you read and chant along with Hebrew. It sure is beautiful.
It helps so much when you fill in these blanks, And so, I'm working on the Vahaftah right now.
What's a Vahaftah?
the prayer that's right after the Shema that says what you will do. And I really do use my yod. It helps me stay put, and it differentiates me learning this from me learning a recipe or a formula or a new yoga pose. It just puts me in a very mindful place and sets my intention that I'm doing very holy work.
On Wednesdays, if anyone's interested, Wednesday mornings at 7:30 at Temple Emmanuel, and all the synagogues and temples have these things. But we have David Stern, Rabbi David Stern leads it, and this is a Talmud. And the Talmud is so interesting. I mean, this dates back 2,000 years. It's so cool. And if
Show us a pretty page.
If you look at the page now, this is an English version of it. But in a regular Tanakh, you would have the side here where you'd have over here, it'd be Hebrew, and over here it'd be different Hebrew, but it'd be one side would be Rashi, so it'd be a bunch of different rabbis, a bunch of different commentators, amazing stuff, and they're always arguing. It's one big argument. Well, I think you should say the prayer over the wine before you say over the prayer over the bread. Well, Rabbi Gamaliel says, oh, not so fast. Rabbi Hillel says, not even think about that. Rabbi Shammai says, no, we should follow the rules. It's just a constant thing, and it goes pages and pages, but it really is interesting. It's a lot of fun thing to do for an hour in the morning at 7:30.
Some of that's that dissension that Anita Diamond was talking about, isn't it? It's just naturally in our DNA.
To argue, not to argue, but to wrestle.
To wrestle.
Right?
Let's see, I have a couple more things to show you.
Well, while you're looking at that, sometimes I just like to look like a malach, a king, see? Or melech, a messenger.
Oh, that's a melech.
It sounds very close. A melech is king, and malach means messenger. In this case, I could be getting ready for Purim. I'm getting ahead of myself.
There's your scepter.
Oh my gosh!
Can you see a scepter? Things will fall around.
I'm just saying. What do you think, what do you think King Ahasuerus is doing around this time? Right?
How looking fun for his scepter.
Oh my gosh! Hey, make me some scrambled eggs here. Maybe not. Okay, sorry. I think Queen Esther may have something to say about that.
Okay, a couple more things. If you have some reading time and you're like, I want to connect with my Judaism on all kinds of things, this is a phenomenal book. Now my kids are going to be like, wow. Kosher Sex, love it. Guess what? I didn't buy it myself. One of my girlfriends loaned it to me. I'm not even going to say who.
I think we need to...
No.
Okay, can we leave early?
And Maggie Anton's book that's just out. This is great. Lots of fun. It has precious cartoons, by the way.
What's the name of it?
50 Shades of Talmud. What the first rabbis had to say about you know what.
How fun is that? And it's really, Ashley's very funny. And she wrote about, this person wrote, I actually spoke with her. And so she had this thing that we watched through something. Zoom. And I was able to call her and
with
say,
the priestesses.
Yeah, with your priestesses stuff. And I was able to speak with her directly, and she was the coolest gal. And she actually sent the books to us. We'll give them as gifts. We might
have ordered some of those for Hanukkah.
Might have.
This is super special. So maybe you're a person who says, during the winter, when I have more time for research, or, we've always wanted that special piece of art. Barry and I kept looking and looking for this. It had been a piece that I admired in someone else's home decades ago. And I've always just kind of kept an eye out. But of course, this time has given us a little bit more time to look around for things like that. So it's painted on porcelain. We got so lucky to come across it.
Who is it?
Can you see it? I'm going to put it way up front.
Looks like a baby.
In his basket. You know who it is.
Wow.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Little baby Moses.
Oh, Moses in his basket. And they have others in the series, but this is definitely an antique. And I have been looking for it for such a long time. And this really gave us the time to scout around and try to find it. Let me think if I had any.
Fortunately, the basket that he was wandering in the Nile River, it was waterproof.
There was this
what
time.
you looking for?
Well, this is about coming to the end of it. You know, it's just there's so many more things to do than decorate for Hanukkah, which is super fun. We're going to do that too, but there's all kinds of things. My sisterhood at one time had commissioned needlepoint canvases of Temple Bethel in San Antonio, and we all stitched them, and it was super fun.
So
now it matches my living room.
That looks just like Temple Bethel in
That's
San Antonio.
Temple Bethel in San Antonio.
How pretty.
Isn't that great?
It's one of the largest temples in the state of Texas, the great state of Texas.
Barry and I started learning the prayer to wash our hands, a Jewish ritual, and we had bought this cup, and we were working on this over pandemic. All kinds of things. Did I miss anything? Here's another. This was one, I think, the very first book I bought. Teach Yourself to Read Hebrew. It was small enough that if we traveled and things like that, or I had some lunchtime in the car, I could just get a sense of things. I didn't, because I felt that I was so limited in my knowledge, I just wanted to kind of jump off and put my toe in the water by myself and just feel a little bit more grounded. But when the New York Times says, boy, is it going to be cold and dark, and it's going to be a very tough winter, I love this last sentence. This is really what this is about. Before we get to the Torah portion, this is what we're really doing here in front of you today. If anybody is perusing, the doors to the Jewish community are wide open. Browsers are always welcome. There has never been a better time. We watch a service from New York Saturday morning when we wake up. We never would have had access to before this, just because it's so interesting and the people are so interesting. There are so many things you can do. There are so many ways to take part in your community and not just be involved in individual Judaism. So we literally wanted to bring out just about everything in the house. We didn't talk about this though, did we?
No, maybe that's a good segue.
Okay. Oh, that's true.
So for me, Debbie got me this little Torah a while back.
You know where I got it?
At the Temple Gift Shop? Whoa, 7,500 Hillcrest. You can get in there. They make reservations. You
By
just tell them what you
appointment,
want. You can get there. Anything you want, you get there. Someone will find a way to get to you. So it's fun. You get to go in the Torah. You get to roll it up. And you can Google how to start it, and you can just go through there. So this week's Torah portion happens to be Vayishlach. Vayishlach is an interesting Torah portion. It covers, it's almost like a novel within the Torah itself. It begins with, Vayishlach, the Torah begins with Jacob sends messengers to go meet his brother Esau. Well, what he did is, I don't know if you remember last week, he had just left Laban's house. Whoa, that wasn't bad. But now he's on his way to some other challenge, which is something he doesn't want to deal with because he has heard that his brother wants to kill him. And his brother's there with, I don't know, like 400 men, tough guys. That's great security detail. So he's off and going. He says, why don't we divide the camps up? Hey, you children, you wives, you go this way with a bunch of sheep. You guys go this way with a bunch of sheep, and maybe Esau will catch you guys before they get into me, and either way, I'm hedging my bet that I'll be safe. Well, as soon as this happens, it's darkness, and a guy approaches. In fact, Torah specifically says a man approaches and starts wrestling with Jacob. Well, they wrestle and wrestle and wrestle a lot, and the man thinks that he's going to, Jacob's getting the upper hand, and he wrenches Jacob's hip. Youch, that's gotta hurt. Anyone's ever had hip problems, it's going to hurt, right? So then time goes on. Jacob doesn't give up. The man says, oh, it's daybreak about to start, and you got to let me go. I mean, he's like, what's going on? Is he a zombie? I mean, this is unusual. So he says, okay, fine. Jacob won't do anything for nothing. So he says, give me a blessing. The man says, he doesn't give him a blessing. He changes it. He says, your name is no longer Jacob, which, by the way, means crooked. Your name is now Israel, because you have struggled with God and man and have persevered. Holy smokes. Jacob says, what's your name? And the man says, why would you even ask me that? He's gone. Poof. Jacob gets up. He places a stone in that place. He says, it means Peniel, face to face with God. And he jumps, starts with his hip hurting. As a humble servant, he gets ahead of his messengers, gets to gets all the way to Esau. He's not scared anymore. He knows he can do this. And as he gets there, he humbly bows at Esau's feet 7 times, 7. And Esau notices this, and they hug each other, and they weep on each other's neck, like brothers, like real brothers. They haven't seen each other for 20 years. And all of a sudden, because of Jacob, because he said, I can do this. I can wrestle with God and man. I can certainly go visit my brother. This is ridiculous. And he straightens things out. And he says, looking at you, Esau, is like looking at the face of God. How wonderful is that? He says also, take these gifts. And they argue, as brothers always argue. Again, I don't want it. You give it. Nope. I don't want it. Take it. So he finally says, okay. And maybe Jacob is saying, these gifts I'm giving you are basically my way of saying, I hurt you. I hurt my father, and I even hurt Laban. He cheated Laban out of like 100 sheep. And he says, I know I'm not that person anymore. These gifts are basically my way of saying, I am sorry. I walked in your shoes and it wasn't nice. And I felt terrible about it. And this is my way of saying, this is your blessing back. And basically, this is what we're talking about. If you struggle sometimes with a person, certainly a sibling or a friend, sometimes it's best to go and face them face to face, deal with it. And it oftentimes settles the matter. With that, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Yasher Koach.
Thank you.
It's such a rich portion this weekend. It's going to be wonderful to listen to in the morning, isn't it?
Yes. What else?
Well, we're getting to the challah time, but I just want to say again, the doors to the Jewish community are wide open. Browsers are always welcome. And I think what really caught me there was, our computers with their browsers. Isn't that so? It's just so weird to me to read it this way. And that when she was writing all this, never to imagine how many online offerings. Who would have thunk it? A Shabbos show. Oh, you know what Gail says?
Yep.
Gail's our producer.
It's 8,500 Hillcrest. If you go 7,500 Hillcrest, you'll be on Whitwood, and that wouldn't be good. But you can knock on the door. Those people are very nice. They're kind. They're right 1 block south of Northwest
Hey, it's just about time to bake it.
Here it is. Whoa, it's big.
I know, it's giant. I'm surprised it got so giant. Got home from pickleball.
All of Esau's 400 men cavalry unit could have come and eaten some of this.
Isn't it beautiful? I can't wait to bake it. It's going to be wonderful.
It's beautiful, Debbie. Thank you. How fun.
So many opportunities. Join us this weekend. Almost all the congregations offer something on Facebook, from yoga through a Jewish lens to Shabbat services.
Is there yoga?
Yeah, there's yoga.
A few of them.
There's a few yogas and all kinds of classes. Just wonderful things. Check into it. Hi, Myra.
Hi, Myra.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Sally. I just saw them a little bit ago.
I know. Happy birthday, Myra.
Early Shabbat Shalom. May it be sweet as honey. Thank you all for joining in. Find something fun. Buy some flashcards. Do some coloring in Hebrew. Journal something. String a necklace.
Beyond.
Do something fun during these dark days of winter, and it'll fly by with even more joy than you expected. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Debbie.
Shabbat Shalom, Barry. Love you.
Love you. There she goes. See you guys.